Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We've been having a great time doing these podcasts. I'm really happy to have, a good friend of mine, a colleague we've known for years, Tom Langan, everyone, husband, father, author, videographer, Legendeer. Check out this book. We'll get to this in a second. Tom, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I feel like I fanboy over you every time we talk, and you're like, Don, you need more interesting people in your life. And I'm like, dude, every time we talk, you're doing something like that I think is really crazy that I wish I could do. Maybe I can do. I just don't know it yet. You're running IronMans, and you've been doing them for years. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to commit to being a little out of your mind. But
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah, right. You just have to be willing to own it. I mean, yeah, look, I was athletic when I was a kid, and don't come from like a big athletic family. I was, the only one in my family. It's just me, my sister, my parents in my immediate family. I was the only one in my family who really played sports through high school. Mm-hmm. I was, on 3 varsity sports my senior year in high school, and then had a knee injury playing football, and ended up having to have surgery spring of my senior year in high school, and then again in the fall of my winter, I guess, of my freshman year in college. So after my second knee surgery, the doctor kind of looked at me and said, "You're not allowed to run anymore." And I was 19 years old. So I was like, what does that mean? Right.
Sure.
And he was like, "I'll paint a picture for you. If somebody's pointing a gun at you, you can run. Otherwise, no running." And I was like, okay, well, that's aggressively specific. But fine. Mm-hmm. So I kind of didn't do anything for like 20 years. Right. And I, just had a great time through my 20s, ate, without any sort of thought about what I was putting in my mouth, like other than does it taste good, yeah. Right? Way more, chicken parm than anybody should eat, and far too many trips to my local Chinese restaurant. I also worked in Manhattan. I was working in the television industry at the time. I worked in Manhattan, and I was commuting back and forth on the train. I lived in Pleasantville, down in Westchester, and there was a Chinese restaurant right by the train station. So it was a pretty common thing for me to like swing in there and grab a combo platter.
Deadly.
Yeah, on the way home. So yeah, I mean, I had a great time. I was out, drinking every weekend with my buddies and just, living it up. And I developed a habit of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, right? So like for 20 years, that was kind of my lifestyle. I was up in Alaska for work. Again, still in the television industry. I was a series producer on a show called Coast Guard Alaska. And so I was up in Alaska running that production, which is where I met my then girlfriend, now wife. She moved back to New York with me when I left that show. And she was coming back into the house from a run. She was training for her first marathon. And it was a Sunday morning. It was the longest run she'd ever done in her life. It was 20 miles. And she came back in, and she left before I gotten up. And by the time she got back from running 20 miles, I had made it to the couch, and I had a cup of coffee in my hand, which is, I feel like kind of normal for a Sunday morning. But she came in, I was talking to her about how her run went, how she felt, and all that good stuff. She went into the kitchen to get something to drink. And I just kind of had this moment where I just kind of like looked at myself and thought, man, you got to do something. You're being lazy. And that was that was the impetus that started all of it.
Wow.
And because I'm a nut job and I don't do anything halfway, mm-hmm. I, instead of being like, oh, maybe I'll like, ride on a bike a little bit or go swimming every once in a while. I was
or just
like,
go to the gym twice a week.
Yeah.
And just walk on the treadmill or something.
Yeah. Instead of doing any of those kind of very normal things, I started cycling, and then I started running, and then I had a background in swimming. So somebody was like, hey, why don't you do a triathlon? And I was like, okay. And so I did a triathlon, actually a month before my 40th birthday. I did my first short course triathlon at West Point.
Okay. What were those distances?
So that was, it was what's known as a sprint.
Okay.
So it's like a 750 meter swim, a 12-mile bike,
yep.
and then a 5K run, a 3.1 mile run.
Cool. I did one of those in Pauling like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, but you're like, a lot of people shy away from the swimming part because it's like anyone can just like learn how to ride a bicycle, or even if you know how to ride a bicycle, train to be on a bicycle for 12 miles, no problem, right? But doing those 3 things back to back in itself is just really tough, even just the sprint one. Like I did it once 5 years ago, and I was exhausted, and I was like, I thought I trained well for this, and I didn't at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's challenging for sure, but I did it, and I was like, oh, that was kind of fun, and I was actually like halfway okay at it. Mm-hmm. So then I signed up for some more, and I did like a half Ironman, a 70.3 distance race the next year, and then I was like, well, that went okay. I guess I'm doing an Ironman. So I signed up for my first Ironman that was supposed to be in 2020. and then 2020 happened,
Hmm.
as we all know, and then so it got delayed. So in 2021, I did my first Ironman race, and I've now done 6 of them.
They're kind of addictive, right? You
Yeah,
know?
it's the challenge of it, I think, that's addictive.
Yeah.
Like it always hurts. Like, and I think that's the thing that like people miss about it,
Mm.
right? And there's like in sort of endurance athletics, there's like a lot of jokes about like, like, God, I went to the gym once and I was sore for days. Like, how do
Yeah.
you do this? How can you like, exercise 6 or 7 days a week
Hmm.
and like not be sore? And the sort of the running joke is like, no, the trick is like, I'm always sore.
Sure.
You just become accustomed to it. But yeah, like they always hurt. It's never easy.
No, I mean, we talked about this before, but I used to do Spartan races, back in the day, 10 years ago, so for like 4 years in a row, a friend of mine, was training for these things called OCRs, obstacle course racing. It was like kind of a new thing then. And you Google Spartan race and you're like, oh, wow, this is like the whole theme is really cool. It's very attractive. And you do your first race and you're like, all right, it's basically like a 5K with like 15 obstacles. And then you go, okay, well, when was the last time I climbed a 20-foot rope? Like gym class in high school, right? So now you got to train to like climb a rope faster. And so like I did a handful of these, and I remember the first race that I ran where I didn't fail any obstacle. Because like in Spartan races, like when you fail an obstacle, you got to do 20 burpees, and burpees are just hell. Nobody wants to do them, right? So you train harder so you don't have to do the burpees anymore. And I remember my first race was actually at Mohegan Sun, and where I had no failures, no burpees. I didn't finish like, even in the top probably 50%, but I didn't care. Like you just kind of get to the finish line and you're like, oh my God, I just did that. When's the next one?
Yeah.
And then the cycle just starts all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually like it does happen pretty quick, even for Ironman. Like it does happen pretty quick that like, you are kind of if you've done the race well, I think you almost always try to leave as much on the course as you can, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because what are you saving it for?
Sure.
So
no regrets.
Yeah.
Like no remorse. Just leave it all out there.
Right. Exactly. So you try to leave it all on the course. So you're pretty shattered by the time you finish, right? I mean, like, for me, my personal best is like 11 hours and 18 minutes, right? For a full distance Ironman, right? So like it's 11 hours and 18 minutes of exercise straight.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so it's intense and you're pretty shattered at the end of it. It's surprisingly fast how quick you turn around and go.
How do you stay hydrated? Like, do you bring snacks with you? Are there water stations? Like, how do you get through that? Like I think the longest Spartan race I ever did was like a 15K and there were like 35 or 40 obstacles. And it was in the middle of the desert outside of Dallas, Texas. And it took me over 6 hours to finish that race. It was just miserable. And like, by the time I was done, I just didn't know like what I was doing in life. I was like having all these like euphoric experiences out in the desert, running with the thousands of other people. And I was like, what are we doing with ourselves? Like, I questioned everything in life. But it's like along the way, you have to bring a hydration pack and they encourage you to bring, snacks with peanut butter, sandwiches, whatever it is, just anything with salt to keep you going. But like 11 hours, like,
yeah.
How do you sustain that?
Well, so sort of like commonly, your nutrition is referred to as like the fourth discipline in Ironman or in long course triathlon specifically, and really like you plan for it. So like you prep in advance, you like pre-hydrate, right? You take because obviously there's no rest stops on the swim. So the swim you got to get straight through. It's hard to eat or drink while you're swimming. The swim you got to get through. So you sort of pre-hydrate, you drink a bunch, take on a bunch of electrolytes, and take on some fuel. And usually it's mainly like during the course of the race, you're pretty much only eating carbs, right? Because at the end of the day, it is the most fuel efficient or the most efficient fuel for your body. And it's the most accessible fuel for your body, and your body doesn't have really the capacity while you're exercising at that level to process or digest fats and proteins very well, right? Yeah. So of the three macros, right, like carbs is really all you're eating all day.
Yeah.
And so you'll do like a carb load before the race. So for like
it's pretty common with runners too.
Yeah. So for like 4 days before the race, I will bump up and eat a ton of carbs. And
that's got to be fun.
Yeah. Well, you would think.
Yeah.
But so like, for example, if I do, generally speaking, if I do like a 3-day carb load, right, I have to, in order to eat, like to meet my carbohydrate goals, I have to eat the equivalent of about 13 bagels a day for 3 days in a row. So it sounds fun. And then you hear that and you're like, oh, that sounds
It's a lot.
awful. It's it's a lot. So like, but and to be clear, I'm
You're not
using
eat-
that
Yeah, it's an
for-
analogy.
Yes. Like I'm using that for like illustrative purposes because
Sure.
everybody knows what a bagel looks like,
Yeah.
right? And probably everybody listening has had a bagel at some
Mhm.
point. So it's like, it's just an easy thing that people are familiar with.
Yeah.
It's not how I do it, right? Like fruit juice is actually a really easy way to get a ton of carbs in
Mhm.
really quickly without like filling yourself up.
Yeah.
Right. And I tend to like tart cherry juice is a great one for that because it also has some like anti-inflammatory properties because of some of, I think it's because of the polyphenols, but I mean, I'm not a dietitian, so don't quote me on that. Anyway, like, so you do this carb load beforehand, that helps build up the glycogen stores, both in your muscles and in your liver.
Mhm.
And then essentially during the day you eat, basically kind of a subsistence volume. So like you eat enough to keep going, but you are definitely burning way more than you're eating.
Mhm.
Right. So like during the course of a triathlon, I might burn, 10,000 calories.
It's insane to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I might burn 10,000 calories that day. I'm only taking in maybe 4,000,
Mhm.
right? Or 5,000. So like you're burning way more than you're taking in.
Mhm.
It's just impossible to keep up.
Do you make that up over the next few days? Like, is there a post-race plan?
Yeah. I mean, like generally it's kind of like eat till you're satiated, eat till you're full for a couple of days
Yeah,
afterwards. And you're pretty hungry, especially the next day.
Sure.
That night too, usually like I get pretty hungry. I've gotten to the point where the first couple of races, like I did not want to eat
Mhm.
afterwards. But I've gotten to the point now where I've been doing it long enough and I've done it enough times that like my body is kind of like, okay, we can handle this. All right, let's have some food.
It knows what's coming.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and like, but you usually don't have a huge appetite right after. The
Yeah.
next morning though, you wake up and you're like, I want to eat everything.
Hmm.
Bring me all the food.
Hmm.
So
Jeez, what an experience, man.
Yeah.
I still try to run like 1 or 2 half marathons a year. And it just kind of keeps me going. It's like a 3-month training regimen. And so I'm like, all right, if I do 2 of these a year, I'm training for 3 months, I do a run, I take a few months off, I start training again. Like that's like, I feel like for me, that's pretty good cadence. But like every time we talk, I'm like, shit, man, Tom's running Ironman.
I mean, look,
It's like-
what you're doing is great.
Yeah.
Anything that people can do to move themselves
Yeah.
to be more active, I think is good in a lot of ways.
But like, how do you level up out of like, I mean, listen, everyone runs their first 5K at some point in their life, right? I feel like everyone these days, like, even if you're walking it, like there's all these charitable 5Ks, like everyone's done a 5K. And once you get that number out of your head and you're like, oh my God, I got to do 3+ miles. Like once you do that the first time, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. And like, that's how I leveled up to a half marathon. But like, I also used to run out of anxiety a lot. Like in my 30s, I had a lot of anxiety. And so I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do Spartan races. I'm going to beat my body up and I'm going to beat my brain up because like, I just don't like where I am right now. And, I've been happy for a long time now that like, I can't find that next level of like motivation. I'm like, I have no anxiety anymore. I have no negative emotions like pushing me to do these crazy things. Like, how do you level up? How do you find that next gear?
I mean, for me, like it's the sort of the challenge of it. Like, can I do it? Right. And then once I know I can, it's how well can I do it, right? And I try to keep that very much in perspective, right? Like I don't compare myself to people who are 20 years younger than me or people who've been doing it for 20 years,
Yeah.
right? And have run dozens of these kinds of races and have a lot more experience and a lot more training volume behind them.
Sure.
So for me, it's the challenge of it. Much more so than anything else. And also the satisfaction on accomplishing it, right? And even doing it relatively well. Like that level of satisfaction is something that keeps me going. But yeah, I mean, I think, you don't have to, I think to level up, you really just have to decide that you want to, right? Like you just have to decide that you want to try.
Mm-hmm.
And genuinely, it's that simple. If you decided that you wanted to run a marathon, you just have to commit to it and try, right? And then like once you're signed up, the other thing too is like the big thing is like sign up for something. Like give yourself a deadline.
That's a really good point. My wife keeps kind of nudging me because I have these conversations with her all the time, and she's like, it's like Groundhog Day with you sometimes. She's like, you tell me all the time that like, you want to lose X amount of pounds, or you want to feel better, or you want to feel fit. And she's like, I keep telling you, you just got to sign up for the next race. Like, just sign up for something. This way you've got a goal, to reach. You've got something to aim for versus just kind of going, I need to do this.
Yeah, 100%. Give yourself a deadline.
Yeah.
Right. Because once you give yourself a deadline, you are going to, like, at least for me, and I think this is true for a lot of people, like, you're going to somehow figure out how to show up for that deadline and get the job done.
Yeah.
Right. In one way or shape or form. So I think give yourself a deadline, sign up for that race,
Mhm.
right? Whatever it may be, like a 5K, right? I mean, a Spartan race, a half marathon, a 10K, a turkey trot, right?
Mhm.
Next Thanksgiving, whatever the case
St.
may
Patrick's
be.
Day 5K,
St.
right?
Patrick's Day 5K. I mean,
Easter
there's like
5Ks. Like every
there's
holiday, someone's doing
there's
a 5K.
Mother's Day 5Ks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, sign up with your mom or your partner or your wife, or the somebody in your life who's a mom. There's Father's Day 5Ks,
Mhm.
right? If you're a dad, go do one of those, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do it with your kids. There's a lot of them where they have a kids race that's
Sure.
included, where like it's a mile or something like that.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's so many opportunities to do it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just setting a deadline. And one of the things that, like, for me, that endurance racing does that I could never get from going to a gym necessarily is it creates that pressure of, like, having to accomplish something by a certain date, right?
True.
And, like, puts you on a plan and a pathway to accomplishing that.
Mhm.
So, like, this year I'm doing Ironman Lake Placid, right? Which is in July. And, like, that's my deadline. Like, my training plan started last month.
Mhm.
So, like, I'm already well into my training plan. I actually ended up having to cut it short for a meeting this morning, but I did like an hour and 20 minutes on the bike this morning.
Mhm.
I still got to figure out where to fit my strength workout in at some point this afternoon. But yeah, I mean, it's
You can't make up that time anywhere. Like, there's a deadline.
right. There
And
is a deadline.
If you skip a workout, you just got to get it out of your head and just wake up the next day and just get
Yeah.
right back to it.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I could get a gym membership and be like, I'm going to go 3 days a week, right? But for me personally, if I'm not working towards something,
Yeah.
then, like, what am I doing?
I completely agree. Like, last April was my last half marathon, and I do have to sign up for my next one. But it was in Nashville at the end of April. And so January, February, I was waking up at 5 a.m. I was going to the gym, and I was getting my miles in. It sucked. I didn't have a good time at all. My wife was constantly nudging me, like, you got to go to the gym, get up, get up, get up. My alarm would go off, and I'm like, it's still dark out. What am I doing? But you have your good weeks, you have your bad weeks, you have your good days, your bad days. And then race day is upon you, and you're standing there at the starting line, and you're like, you know what? I just got to let go of anything that I didn't like about what I did during training. Just focus on right now. Like, I've got a couple hours, whatever it is. Like, you've got to mark you're trying to meet, or some people are just trying to get through it. We all kind of have those days.
Yeah. I mean, hey man, I feel that pain. Like, most weeks I get up 3 days a week. I get up at 4:30 to go swim.
Yeah.
It's what's, you just have to figure out what's important to you. And if you value it, then you go do it. And I do. I'm also fortunate enough. I work from home, and, like, on those days when I get up at 4:30, often I will eat lunch and then take a little 20-minute power nap because I can.
Sure.
Yeah, it's easy.
I love swimming. I feel like I was just, like, made for the water. And I'm just so much happier when I'm, either in a lake or the ocean or a pool or whatever it is. And like a few weeks ago, we had the privilege of going to Hawaii for a little bit, and we were spoiled. There was a pool right outside of our hotel room, right outside of the resort room. And so every morning at like 4:35 a.m., and of course, like, you're 5 hours behind out there, so it felt like 9 a.m. Felt like I was late getting up. Like, I was waking up every morning and doing like 30 or 40 laps just for fun, just because, like, yeah, we're in Hawaii, like, it's beautiful out. Like, I'm gonna go outside and do some laps. And I did it for like 5 days straight, and, like, I felt the difference, and I was like, I need to do this more when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing. Back to the gym, just doing the laps. Just doing the things that I think are fun. And then, you know what? Like, yeah, I got to do some weight training too, and I got to do some running. I'm going to work that stuff in there. But if you start with doing something, that you like, something you enjoy, then it kind of makes the rest of the working out like a little less painful.
Yeah, I think too, the other thing that I run into, and I was just having a conversation with somebody about this the other day, who's just kind of started getting on a fitness journey, and they were sort of frustrated with the idea that they weren't getting any satisfaction out of it, right? And I said, so there's a couple of things to bear in mind, but like primarily the satisfaction that most people get from exercise does not come during the exercise, right?
Sure.
So like it's not this whole runner's high thing, like is not like you don't feel euphoric necessarily while you're running.
Yeah.
The joy that comes from it is in the satisfaction of what you've accomplished after you've done it. Right. And so it's that sort of delayed gratification that you're actually after. And like, I don't know who coined the term, but like the term that's often used for it is type 2 fun. Right. So type 1 fun is like instant gratification. Like it's fun while you're doing it. It's eating your favorite candy. Right. That's type 1 fun. Right. Like that's great. Like as soon as you put that piece in your mouth, like that first piece of candy in your mouth, you're like, I'm having a good day.
Sure.
Right. That's type 1 fun. Type 2 fun is not fun while you're doing it, right? It might be going for a run. It might be getting up at 4:30 in the morning to go swim. Like it does not, it's not like I jump out of bed at 4:30 in the morning and I'm like, woohoo, we're going swimming. You know, like, come on.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a person.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like nobody behaves that way. And if they tell you they do, they're lying. Right. I don't love getting up at 4:30 in the morning when my alarm goes off. Right. What I do love is finishing my swim and seeing, because I track metrics a lot, right? And seeing the improvements that I make over time, right? And seeing the value of that hard work and how it shows up in that data, right? Like that's where I kind of derive that satisfaction from. And like just this morning, my wife was like on Strava and she was going through and like my swim from yesterday popped up and she was like, man, your swim yesterday was fast. And it wasn't quite as fast as like it seemed based on like the average time because there were some data hiccups, but it was reasonably fast. And like that felt great.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, when somebody whose opinion you value, right, notices and says, hey man, like that work is really paying off. Like that feels great. That's type 2 fun.
Sure.
Right. Where it's that delayed gratification, that satisfaction you get after you've done it. So like really, that's what you should be after, not the in the moment fun, right? Because the in the moment, it hurts to do an Ironman, right? Like in the moment for those 11 hours, there are times in every single race I've done when I wanted to stop and I had to talk myself out of it.
You're not smiling the entire time?
Yeah, no, definitely
I know some
not.
people that do that. I think they need psychological help, but
probably, or they're just faking it, right? They're smiling on the outside and dying on the inside.
I guess it depends on where you are. Like,
yeah.
I did a half marathon in Vegas and they shut down the strip for it, you know? So like, you know, there's buildings, there's lights, there's music, like there's all sorts of fun, but like, yeah, I don't have like a grin from ear to ear the entire time. You just have these moments like these, you know, where you're kind of like, wow, like I'm here. This is fun. This is cool. And then you remember that you're putting foot to pavement, and you're like, ow, my ankle's starting to hurt. And like,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, there are, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not all 100% misery from start to finish. There are fun moments, but overall, right? Like it's hard. It is hard work. And like like I said, in every race I've done, in every Ironman, not necessarily in short course, but like in every long course race I've done, there has been a moment where I have thought to myself, nobody would think less of me if I stopped right now.
Yeah.
Right. I could pull the cord. I could get off this train, like, and nobody would be like, come on, you only did 130 miles out of 140.6, right? Like, no, it's not going to happen. Everybody be like, dude, that's still amazing what you did.
Yep.
Right. But then you talk yourself through, and I mean actively out loud, talk myself out of it. Right. And just keep going. And eventually that passes and you keep moving and you get to the finish line. But yeah, I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, like while you're doing it, and it's not supposed to be. So like you have to be okay with that. And you have to understand that going in, that it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be some moments that are amazing and make you smile. Yeah. There's also going to be some moments where you want to quit. And you have to get through both of those in order to get to the finish line.
It's a good transition into talking about business, right? Like there are moments where, you know, things are going really well and you're like, yes, I made a good decision leaving this salary job to start my own business. And then you have these other moments where you're like, oh, this was a horrible idea. What did I do? So let's talk about that a little bit. You know, you were in the film industry for a long time, and technically, I guess you still are. But you know, you mentioned before a little bit of tidbit of information early on is you were on the show with the Coast Guard a long time ago, right? Tell us some cool stories about that.
I mean, it was an amazing experience, right? I mean, from start to finish, I got to do things that first of all, that like civilians don't typically get to do, right? So like I got to fly all over, Alaska with the Coast Guard. I got to go on dual training missions with the Coast Guard.
That's wild, man.
With the Canadian Armed Services. So I got to fly on Canadian Armed Services aircraft as well as a result. I got to do like a right seat flight on a single pilot helicopter in the Coast Guard, which is not something that civilians get to do very often. So I got to sit up front, on a Coast Guard helicopter flying around through the mountains up in Alaska, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I got to do amazing things. I met my wife when I was working on that show. So, and we got to tell incredible stories. And that was, it was one of those things like that show was not the last show I worked on in my television career, but it kind of ruined everything after that because it was such an amazing experience. And because what we were doing is really a true documentary program. Part of our deal with the Coast Guard was, and I was, one of my areas of responsibility on that show was managing that relationship with the Coast Guard. And one of the agreements that we had with the Coast Guard was that we were not allowed to do recreations. So everything was, it was either we were there or we weren't. They had the capability and would record footage on their flights if we couldn't get on, or if they decided for safety reasons they wouldn't allow one of us on the aircraft. And so we could sort of reconstruct what happened using their footage and doing interviews after the fact.
Did you get to actually go on like any rescue missions or anything?
I only flew on one rescue mission.
Okay.
And I actually got chastised for it by my boss.
Of course.
Basically because, so it was a really quick story. It was, I think it was the Christmas holiday, right? And so I was trying to sort of do things how I felt they should be done as the sort of leader on the show. And so I made sure that I was the last person to fly out for the holiday break. And so basically it was myself and one other person who were left on the island from the crew. And a call came in for a search and rescue mission, or the Coast Guard refers to it as a SAR case, SAR, right? So search and rescue. So this SAR case comes in and it's for a stranded surfer. Believe it or not, people surf up in Alaska. So stranded surfer, basically he had gotten pulled by a current, had ended up kind of stranded on this cliff or against this cliff at the base of this cliff. And the tide was coming in and there was no way for him to get out of there safely. So they called the Coast Guard. We went out and I was the only person who was on the island who was qualified to fly on the aircraft because we had to go through training qualifications and get dunked in the pool and flipped upside down and have to, egress from this.
Sure. Make sure you can handle yourself in a situation.
Basically, yeah. So we had to do egress training like underwater with the Coast Guard and stuff. So I'd gone through all of that training. And so not with the intention of using it. Honestly, I'd done it to be, as part of the team. So I understood what everybody else had to go through. So anyway, I was the only one qualified to fly from our team who was there and who could also operate a camera. Because although it wasn't my job on the show, I had experience as a director of photography. And so, I also knew how to operate the camera. So I hopped on the helicopter because I was like, hey, I'm the only one here. Let's do it. So I hopped on the helicopter. We flew out. We ended up, they had to use a FLIR camera, a forward-looking infrared camera, to actually find the surfer.
Wow.
Found him, did this hoist in front of the cliff, which was actually technically very challenging for the pilot, and rescued him safely and brought him into the helicopter, brought him back to the Coast Guard base, and everything was great. And then
that's incredible.
Yeah. And then my boss asked me who shot it.
Yeah.
He said, hey, this surfer case, who shot that? It was great. And I said, oh, I did. And he said, why? And I said, well, because I was the only one there. And he said, okay, fine. I understand that. Don't let it happen again.
Yeah.
That's not your job.
Wow.
Right. So he was kind of like, I mean, he's like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I have to also say, like, don't do that. That's not your job.
In the moment for you,
yeah.
It's kind of like, you're a professional. You're supposed to be documenting this, but at the same time, like, you're a human being, and I'm sure you were kind of in awe of what was happening and just the capabilities of human beings in moments like that to step up and put aside their own safety for the welfare of others. Like, that must have been a pretty important moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's always impressive. I think when you see somebody, willing to risk their own safety or even put thoughts of their own safety aside to help someone.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always impressive. It was something that we'd been around for a while at that point. So I don't want to say you are, you grow accustomed to it, but you don't really think about it in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like in the moment on the helicopter, during the rescue, you're just there doing a job.
Yeah.
Like, and that's actually, I think, how it works best. And a lot of how the training is set up. And I like from personal experience I'm also, been involved in the volunteer fire service for my whole adult life. And,
Yeah.
and although I'm not current, I've also been trained as an EMT and, I think when you show up, when that alarm goes off or you show up on a call like that, from my own personal experience, I can relate to what those guys in the helicopter are doing in the sense that you're there to do a job.
Yeah.
And it is really that simple. Like that's the job, that's what you signed up to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you do.
Yeah.
When the alarm goes off, right?
I was a volunteer at East Fishkill Fire District for 5 or 6 years back in the day. And same thing, man. Like when you join an effort like that and you watch people who've been doing it for a long time, I was just constantly in awe. And even though, like, I wasn't one of them, I was kind of like, this white collar guy thinking like, oh man, like there was an incident at my house. My car caught fire in my driveway, and the fire department got there before it spread to the house, thank God. And there was just some, melted siding on the house. And I thought to myself in that moment, like, this is a sign, like maybe I should give this a shot. Maybe I should give back. And like, I wasn't one of them, and they are a rare breed, especially volunteers, people who put their lives at stake for others, and they're not getting anything for it other than personal reward. I mean, it's really impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. I never really thought about it much, probably because I grew up around it. Like my father's been involved in it since before I was born.
Mm.
And so I literally grew up like going to the firehouse with my dad.
That's cool.
And so it was sort of a no-brainer that as soon as I was old enough, of course I was going to join.
Sure. Yeah, it was already part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You just didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I don't know anything different. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't really anymore kind of leave it to some of the guys who are a little bit more gung ho and in their 20s and stuff. But yeah, I mean, when I was in my 20s, like, yeah, I ran into burning buildings and, I mean, it was just, but again, you just like, that's what you do.
Sure.
Like, that's what you signed
That's
up
what
for.
you're
That's
there
what you
for.
trained for.
Yeah.
Like the house is on fire. You go in, you put the fire out. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're there to do.
Yeah. There's no time for hesitation. There's no time for emotions. Like there's no time for second guessing. Like somebody else's life could be at stake and this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you've trained well, like the training kicks in.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of room for there, and there's no time to really like mull it over.
Yeah.
Right. Like you show up and you act.
Yeah.
Right. You follow your training and you do the job. And yeah, and if everything goes well, then you put the fire out and everybody goes home.
I'm also deathly afraid of heights, so I knew this wasn't going to last long. I tried so hard. We did the bailouts out of 4 or 5 story windows, and I just like pushed myself through it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing this for too long. I mean, it's people, like very special people do that for a living and don't get paid for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I mean, I think also like look, I'm just going to speak for myself. I don't want to put this on everybody else, but like I kind of have. I think I have something a little bit broken in my brain that like I don't really have like fear exactly. It's a weird thing. I don't like it's not that I don't recognize that something is like dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. But I also recognize the likelihood is that I will be fine.
Mhm.
And I am like okay with it because of that.
Yeah.
So I tend to like be a little bit more willing to take risks than
Mhm.
like your average person because I don't really like fear doesn't hit me the way like it apparently does for other people. And I like, that's just a personal quirk. Like,
Sure.
Like I said, I think there's something
You got to
little bit
figure out a way to
broken.
bottle that up and sell it, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I get nervous. Like I second guess things.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm some sort of weird emotionless robot. I mean, like, I think like, like Alex Honnold, right? Like the guy who did Free Solo and who just climbed that
Oh.
skyscraper. And
I couldn't even watch it, man. Like my vertigo was kicking in just
what was
watching
it? Taipei?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm not like him. Like he genuinely does not have a fear that most people have that should have. Like, I would be real nervous doing the stuff that he does. The flip side is, I mean, I don't know, now that I'm saying it, if I've been doing it as long as he has, I don't know that I would be. So maybe I'm kind of like him. But yeah, I mean, I think, I'm really good at rationalizing away fear.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I jumped out, like, I went skydiving. I've only done it once. I went skydiving and immediately was like, I would do that again.
Mm.
Like, I haven't, because the opportunity hasn't really presented itself,
Sure.
but like, I would 100% go skydiving again. No problem.
But obviously that, has helped you in every aspect of life, right? You get married, like you're taking a risk, right? It's you have children, you're a father now. It's like all these things that are life changing that happen. Like, I'm sure, like, having that quirk, as you call it, kind of helps you deal with these things in ways that like other people would struggle with.
I mean, I think I am fortunate to be very good at rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
And that is definitely, a personality trait that I don't know I can take any credit for. It's just,
It's just there,
it's just there.
and you own it and you just roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know that it's something that I've like developed on my own or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just who I am. I'm pretty good at rolling with the punches.
So let's talk about Talex Media.
Okay.
So you did your thing with the Coast Guard. I'm sure there were other shows that you worked on, and you're also award winning.
Well, no. So
Award nominated.
Nominated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I spent 17 years in the television industry.
Yep.
I started out as a production assistant, right? As a PA, as it's commonly referred to, which is an entry level job. I kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was sort of an accidental thing. It's not. I didn't study, broadcasting or journalism or communications in college. I was a psych major. Who decided not to go to graduate school and ended up falling backwards into an entry-level job in TV.
Yeah.
And so I started working at television and enjoyed it, right? And so I kind of stuck with it. Didn't really have a clear career path figured out anyway at that time. And so I stuck with it and ended up, 17 years later, I was a showrunner in TV. And so what essentially that job title is pretty straightforward. Basically, it was my job to oversee the series-wide production of television shows. So everything for, like a show that you like, the current season of that show, from, initial sort of story development and et cetera, and casting, it's all of that all the way through production and on to final delivery of the show for broadcast. So that's where I ended up in TV after 17 years. And then I decided to leave the television industry because the writing was on the wall for like what we're seeing now. And like in the last couple of years, how like problems in the industry have become very, very obvious publicly, right? Especially through things like the SAG-AFTRA strikes and the WGA strikes of a few years ago. That writing was on the wall in 2018. And so I decided to leave the industry. And I was fortunate towards the end of my career. I was nominated for a couple of Emmy Awards for some work that I did on a show called Her Big Idea, which was a documentary series based around telling the stories of female entrepreneurs in New York. And so I was fortunate enough to be nominated for a couple Emmys for some of the work that I did on that show. Unfortunately, didn't win, didn't get the statue, but definitely proud of it regardless. And then I started Talex Media in 2018, really as an effort to refocus the skill set that I developed in the television industry and refocus that into communications for businesses. So that's kind of what the focus started as. It's still what it is today. We've refined it, obviously, and kind of honed in on exactly what that looks like and what that means. But, from a 30,000 foot view, Talex Media exists to help businesses communicate more effectively with the communities that they seek to serve.
I love your focus on authenticity. That's always been your thing, probably since one of the first conversations we had, and then, value first, is something, that you really, hit people with, instead of constantly just thinking like, oh, I need to give the people what they want or what they need. I just need to give the people who I am. It's just, it's a shift of mindset. Marketing has been so heavily focused for the longest time on targeting audiences, giving them what they want. People kind of like lost themselves a little bit. So I feel like it's a bit of a progression.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, man, I could go into a very long diatribe about how I think we've ended up where we are today.
Yeah.
That goes
Maybe
all the
we'll
way
have you
back.
back for that.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the economist Milton Friedman in 1970. But
Yeah.
we'll fast forward and get back to the present. I mean, I think what's happened is, for a whole host of reasons, we've ended up in a situation where sales drives marketing, right? Instead of the other way around, right?
Mhm.
If you think about it in terms of like order of operations, marketing should come first, right? Communications, brand identity, all of
Mhm.
those things come before sales,
Yeah.
right? In the order of operations. But because of the business environment that we found ourselves in, as a result of all of these kind of forces that have go back 50 years now,
Yeah.
we've ended up in a place where marketing decisions and what kind of constitutes marketing is driven by uh, what will hopefully lead to a quick, easy conversion for sales, right? And that's not really what marketing is supposed to do.
Mhm.
And it's definitely not what communications is supposed to do.
Sure.
And it's not what brand identity is about. And it's not really I think it's a mistaken idea that it is in good service of good business to only be concerned about bottom line revenue.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think good business is a much bigger thing than just the dollars and cents on your P&L,
Hmm.
right? And if you reduce it to just the dollars and cents on your P&L, then you end up with a sort of culture and an environment where the only decisions that you make are ones that will convert
Yeah.
into sales,
Sure.
right?
Well, I remember in the late 2000s, early 2010s, I was in marketing and public relations, and Facebook was just becoming a thing. Like, I was in college when you had to have a college email address to have access to Facebook. Like, that's how it all started. Like, anyone who's, under 30 years old today, like they're not going to get that. But, I remember, when we were talking marketing budgets with our PR clients, like, hey, there's this, like, you got to get on board with social media. You have to have a company page, like you have to have a Facebook account, and you should be posting X amount of times a week. It's a branding exercise. You have to do it, and they're like, I don't understand why I should pay you more, why I should increase my retainer with you to do social media when it's not going to make me any money. It's like, in the early stages of social media, yeah, it was tough getting people to adopt it. If you're still making that argument now, then, like, I don't know if you should even be an entrepreneur. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You should probably be an employee.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think a good counter to that argument too is to turn around and say, well, you spend a lot of money on a lot of things that don't directly make you money,
Mhm.
right? So, like, if you're talking to somebody who has a brick and mortar, right? Do they have a sign out front?
Mhm.
Right? Do they have a sign on the building or in front of the building that has their businesses, their company's name on it? Right? Ask them how much they spent on that sign, and ask them how many dollars they've earned off of that investment in that sign.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Like, they can't quantify it, right?
No.
But they know they need the sign.
Mhm.
Like, it is money well spent,
Mhm.
right? Like, and the age that we live in now, where you have to have, and in a lot of cases, your digital presence is more important than your physical presence, right?
Mhm.
In terms of like a brick and mortar space, or like, if you're an e-commerce business or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You may not even have a brick and mortar space, but you spend money on your digital presence. Like, well, your brand identity and your presence on different forms of media is part of that spend.
Mhm.
It's equally as important as having a sign out in front of the building.
It is, and it's cheaper now than ever to to build your own website, to even do social media advertising. You've got $25 a week or $20 a week, or so, even less than that. Like, it's just it's so affordable these days. Like, how can you not be considering this? A couple weeks ago, I was down in Atlanta for KW's big family reunion. There's like 15,000 agents that come to this event, and Gary Vee was the featured guest speaker. Man, like, that guy's just like, he just knows what's coming. He just sees things before other people do, and he's been pounding social media into people's heads since like 2004, 2005, when, like, it was just in its infancy. And, like, he's talking about the same things you and I are talking about. He's like, it baffles me that, like, people don't have, Instagram or LinkedIn accounts even. Like, he was really big on LinkedIn. He's like, doesn't matter what industry you're in, how could you not have a LinkedIn account? And he's just like, just so raw about it and so passionate about it. But he's right. Sometimes you just sit back and, you think about these things and you're like, I've been talking about this for a while. Like, why haven't I done it yet? I mean, case in point with me in this podcast, like you and I have been talking about this podcast idea for what, like at least 2 years now. And I finally was just like, you know what? Like, I just got to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think like look, it baffles my mind that there are lots of companies out there that literally have no video content. As affordable as it can be,
Mhm.
right? Like to even just to DIY a little bit, right? If
Yeah.
you are, a mom and pop, or you're a bootstrapped startup, right? Like, or a solo entrepreneur, off on a solo venture, right? Like, man, if you decided to start a business making sourdough bread in your home kitchen, right? Whatever it is,
Mhm.
like you can make video content really affordably that looks and sounds pretty good, right? Just using the tools some of which you already have, right? Like
Mhm.
just using your smartphone that you probably already have,
Yeah.
right? So like, it baffles the mind that people aren't using video, because it is, as I say, like in my book,
Yeah.
right? It is the single best and most powerful tool that businesses have for communications at their disposal. Period. End of story. Full stop. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. Nothing else
Mhm.
is as powerful as video as a communications tool for business.
And even if you're not comfortable in front of a camera, practice. Not to say that you're suddenly going to turn into, a news anchor and you're going to change careers or anything. But I mean, a lot of people, they're camera shy. So there's tips and tricks.
Yeah.
You practice. Just set up your phone on on your desk.
Yeah.
Or on a tripod or whatever you have, and just talk to it.
Yeah.
Right. And it sounds silly, but just talk to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, so there's two things that I like to tell people about when it comes to this specific thing, right? Because there's a lot of people who are like, I don't want to be on camera, or like, I'm not comfortable being on camera, which I totally get. But if you're a solo entrepreneur, like, I hate to break it to you, but you don't really have a choice, right? Like, if you're going to create content, it's probably going to be you on camera. Like, you don't have somebody else you can delegate that authority to. You're not going to hire a spokesperson, right? Like, you don't have the ability to use influencer content or marketing programs to do that. So it's going to be you. So here's two things that you need to know about it. One, it's a developable skill, right? Just like any other skill set, if you practice, you will definitely get better at it, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to become the Michael Jordan of filming your own content, right? Like, that you have to have other certain advantages and a certain sort of predilection for an inherent capacity to be great at this in order to become something like that. But you can definitely get better at it. Anybody can get better at it. So you have to practice. And like, I have a really great little easy exercise that people can do that literally takes like less than 5 minutes to do. And it'll help. Guarantee it'll help over time if you stick with it. Consistency is super important, right? So like, if you're going to try to improve, just like anything else, like, you're never going to get faster running if you only go for one run, right? Like, you have to do it over and over and over again to see improvement over time. And that improvement is going to be incremental. But when you go back and you look at where you started and where you are now, like months later, you're going to see a clear improvement, right? And so this is the exercise. Super simple, right? You record a 60-second video, just you speaking to camera. You can do it with your smartphone. Just hold your phone out in front of you, right? Record a 60-second video of you speaking to camera. Then you watch that video back 3 different ways, right? So the first time you watch it back, you put the phone down, face down on the desk, turn the volume all the way up, just listen. And all you're listening for is what you like and what you don't like. That's it. I don't want you to be hypercritical. I don't want you to like try to pick it apart. Just what you like and what you don't like, right? That's it. It's that simple. Then you pick up the phone and you're going to watch it back with the volume turned all the way down. So no sound. You're just watching your body language, watching your facial expressions, right? And again, you're just watching for what you like and what you don't like. That's it. Don't be hypercritical. Don't be like, oh, I always hated how my hair does that thing or whatever, right? Like, don't get into that sort of trap. Just what you like and what you don't like. And then the third time you watch it back, you turn the sound up and you watch it as it's meant to be watched, as a video, right? With sound and picture together, right? And again, you just make note of what you like and what you don't like. And if it helps you, you can, after you're done, you can just write down like, don't like, just in columns. And that's it. It's that simple, right? Like, you don't have to overanalyze it. You don't have to go then like plug that into like, a Claude or something and do an analysis. Like, no, stop. Just what you like and what you don't like. Very simple. And then do that again and again and again and again. And over time, you'll actually see a clear, dramatic improvement in how you present to camera, right? And the other way to do it is as you start to get better and you get to a point where you're like, broadly speaking, I like this. Then start showing it to other people, right? You don't have to post it on the internet. Show it to a friend. Be like, hey, do you mind if I text you a video? All I want you to do is just text me back what you like and what you don't like about it, right? And like, just be honest. And like, then you can start enlisting other people to give you that outside perspective that you can't get from yourself because you're too close to it. It's you, right? Yeah. So like, and sometimes like maybe it's not even texting it to a friend. Maybe it's showing it to your partner or your wife, your spouse, or, you know, your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, right? Whoever that person is for you, your best friend, you know, show it to them and just ask them for their opinion. Yeah. What did you like? What did you not like? And that's it. Like, just do that on repeat over a long period of time. And guess what? You'll get better at it. Yeah. And you'll also get more comfortable, right? And simultaneously.
And more of your personality will come out once you're comfortable being on camera and talking and interviewing other people. You tend to loosen up a little bit and more of you comes out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, like going back to our conversation earlier where I was talking about like the secret is that I'm always sore. Right. The secret is to being good on camera is like even the people who are amazing on camera, like much far better than I am. Right. Those people are still uncomfortable when the camera starts rolling. Yeah. They're still uncomfortable when they know they're being recorded. The trick is they've gotten really comfortable with that discomfort. It feels familiar. Yeah. Because they've done it so much that they just kind of settle into it. They accept it and they go, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what this feeling signifies. Like for me, when I get the opportunity to go speak in front of an audience, right, in front of a group of people, when I'm up on a stage doing a presentation, what I get right before this, I kind of get like butterflies. Yeah. But for me, those butterflies mean that I get to go out and provide value to this audience and give them a new way to think about or to see the world, right, through my particular lens. Yeah. That I think will help them with their communications. I get to go do that. That's what the butterflies mean. And so I take those butterflies as a sign that I'm about to get to do something I love to do. Yeah. And so I get excited about it. Yeah. Right. So I like that discomfort because it signifies that I'm going to get to do something meaningful. So like that's how I deal with that. And that's how I think a lot of people who speak in front of large audiences, who present on camera often, I think that's how they deal with it, is they just get really comfortable with that discomfort. Yeah. You just got to get past that first hump. I've been doing, videos for about a year and a half now on my socials. And I look back at the first few and I'm kind of like, can't believe we let those out. But I think you gave some really good advice there, man. Like, I don't even know how else to put it. Start recording yourself a little bit, get feedback from people that are trusted, in your sphere, your friends, family. And that you can trust to be honest with you. Took the words right out of my mouth, man. And you can't be, and you're not afraid of their feedback because you love these people. Like they're in your sphere. And then once you get comfortable putting yourself out there, that's the other part too. It's just like a lot of people aren't comfortable like sharing themselves with the world. It's easy to sit in an office, make calls, do deals, this and that. But like I talk to real estate agents all the time. I'm like, you don't have to be Ryan Serhant. He's an excellent broker and he's really good on camera and he has an awesome social media presence. And I see that comparison with other agents in my office all the time. They're like, I don't know if I could be that. And I'm like, well, you don't have to be him. He doesn't have to be somebody else. I don't have to be you. Like, just do what you feel is comfortable and share yourself with the world. The world's going to love you. It's just going to it takes time, it takes practice. Yeah. And I think like to your point, you have to be fair with your comparisons, right? Like, somebody like Serhan is an exception, right? So like, it's like, if you play, if you play hoops on the weekend with your buddies, it's like comparing yourself to LeBron James. Like that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's an absurd comparison. What are you even talking about? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Don't do it. Yeah. Right. Like it'd be like me comparing myself to a pro triathlete. Right. Sure. Like even if it was my job, I would never be as fast as those guys are. Right. One, I'm too old now to be that fast. And two, I probably don't have the genetics for it. Right. Yeah. Like some of it is you have to have a genetic predisposition for that kind of athletics to be that great at it. Right. Sure. And like, I probably don't have that genetic predisposition. So like, I couldn't even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
I just think like comparing ourselves to other people in general is just a big problem in society today in general. You know, just in life, like these poor teenagers, man, like they're growing up with social media and they're just constantly comparing themselves to other people their age, and their minds are developing. We're adults and we do it too. And it's just, you know, we need to just kind of take a step back and just be a better version of ourselves from yesterday, from last week, from last month, from last year, and stop comparing ourselves so much to other people in general.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I always just try to do the best that I can. And like, that's the standard I hold myself to, right? Is it the best that I can do? And if the answer is yes, and again, also, it's not just the best I can do, is it the best I could do on that day in that situation, right? So it's not, is it the best I could do now? Because like, I'm a better triathlete than I was 4 years ago. So
Mhm.
like, the best I can do now is better than what I could do back then. Right. So like I have to measure myself against who I am today. Right. And is it the best I could do right now in the moment? And if the answer is yes, then I'm happy. Right.
Yeah. I can't think of a better way to end this show, to end this episode. Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
We're going to have you back on, man. There's more stories to tell.
me.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.